Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Indiana Jones Retrospective. I am the volunteer, Trasnell, and I'm joined by...
I'm Junior, Kirkland Patzer.
I am Jehovah with an I, Dylan Muss.
I am the brother to the cruciform sword, Taylor Field.
Nice.
Did you rehearse that, Taylor?
No, that was first take.
I can tell.
Oh, yeah, it shows. But yes, we are here to talk about the final of the trilogy of Indiana Jones. We still got one more retrospective in the coming weeks. Patrons will begin that early.
Fortunately.
And then we still have the new... What do you mean, unfortunately? You could like it. Maybe you'll have a new idea.
I've only seen that
about it.
movie once, and it was in theaters.
Yeah.
And
I've only seen
I
it
remember
twice. It's
thinking
been a
it was
while.
mid, and that was when I was at an age that I loved every movie. So we'll see how this
So
goes.
you
Before
said
mid
back
was
then?
even a term.
Dad, this is mid.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
coined the
You
term.
invented the term mid for
This is
that.
not busting.
Did you hear what that kid said? He said mid. What's mid? Like it's like medium, like not that like mid. And it trickled throughout Canada. And
Slowly made its way. That's why it's like
Yeah,
popular
It
now.
only took a decade for it to catch on.
Yeah. Kelowna is a still small place, and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. But yes, and then of course we will be reviewing Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, come June 30th. So it's only at time of the recording, it's 3 weeks away, but it's just flying by. So
Are tickets up for that puppy? I gotta scoop in there if they
I think they are for us. I think.
Okay.
I don't know for you,
I
but
don't
I
have
imagine if
mine
we
yet.
have tickets, you
Yeah,
should have them
I
and
should,
stuff.
I should
but
do that tonight.
yeah, I think they're up, but they're at a point when I looked, it's still like no one had bought it in seat yet. So it's like, okay, I don't think I'm rushing, but yeah, I have to. I'm not rushing, but I'm not rushing either. So, but yeah, I think tickets are up. Oppenheimer tickets are up, which I'm not a fan of because I want to know. I'm not buying my tickets till I get the Barbie one, so I really want to know because Oppenheimer's 3 hours flat. So I
Holy
really.
fuck.
Oh yeah, actually, Nolan said sorry, not flat. 3 hours and 9 seconds to be exact. That's what Nolan said. So.
Do a lot with 9 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
I feel sorry, Madison. But head down to the links below for everything you need to know. You can support us on the video feeds, the audio feeds, join over Discord. Been lots of chatter, like I feel like the past 2 weeks and stuff. You can tell maybe it's summer, people are got some jobs off and whatnot, but we're having fun over there. And then head over to Patreon. Get us to those 50 patrons by the end of July 31st. We'll unlock 5 episodes. If you like George Lucas, if you like, Steven Spielberg is his friend. Who knows? But Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker commentary track. We've never done that before. We want to redo our top 10 video games, but it's going to be top 15. The MCU reboot after Secret Wars, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, bunch of fun things. And if you go subscribe there, that's at any tier to get to the 50, but all the other tiers got a bunch of good things. You got After 9, our call-in show. You got the originals. You got Bread and Butter exclusive shows and stuff like that, which will be fun. There's some good topics coming up and stuff. I have one to pitch Kirkland and Dylan. Sorry, Taylor, you'll have nothing to add to it, but I have one to pitch Kirkland and Dylan. We're going to do it when you're busy with a baby. Don't worry. It's the perfect timing and stuff like that. But yes, lots of good jazz on there. And the more you do that, the more you support the channel. We can do extra shows, do extra things like the retrospective stuff like that. So we appreciate each and every one of you on there a lot. Shout out to the Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Josh Wright, and Jack Grant. Head over there. If you like what we do for retrospectives, you can pick a movie, a game, a TV show under 3 hours, so like a really tight mini series, and we'll retrospect it. And do all that good stuff. So, Dylan, I haven't podcast with you in a while for I don't know what to say here. It's been a minute. It's going to feel different because by the time this comes to the feed, be like, what do you mean? You guys have done like 2 weeks of cast together. But like at this time, I don't know Dylan's thoughts on Indiana Jones. I guess I haven't said we are retrospecting Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once again, this one, I feel like I was waiting for an exact scene because there's been a scene that's been ingrained in my mind since I watched this as a kid, and it's the head getting chopped off and rolling down the stairs, and that's always been a scene that's stuck in my head. So it was very cathartic to get to that. But I think for me this was like I kind of had that dip in the middle with Temple of Doom, and I can say that now because this is definitely a big improvement for me. I like this a lot more than the second one. And I don't know where I'd put it in relation to the first one. I got to wait for the rankings at the end of all of this. But I thought it was really good. I think it was a very different style in terms of Indy and his relationship with his father. And that isn't just like some little side thing. Like that is what, most of the movie is.
Yeah.
I think the action and set pieces are really great. Some of the places we go to, some good, just locations in general. And Yeah, I don't know. I quite enjoyed it. I guess I'm at the end of this trilogy now, and I guess I've realized that like I don't think these will ever be favorite movies of mine. I've still had a good enough time going through them, but I don't think that nostalgia has worn off if it existed at all, and they're just not necessarily like my favorite kind of movie. So I think it's a very solid, well-made movie. But yeah, I don't think I'll rewatch these movies for years after this. We're going to do this for the movie coming out, but then I don't think I'll watch these again for a very long time. I can say all that pretty confidently.
Maybe 4 will change your mind. You'll see Crystal Skull. You'll be like, man, this is a gooder right here.
That
I'm
would
gonna
be
come back to
wild
this one.
if it did.
Mr. Field.
Yes, I don't usually default to this one out of the other two. Like, and if you listen to those other two retrospectives, like those are definitely my creme de la creme when it comes to like the indie franchise. This one is definitely like it's really really good, but I'm not rushing to always put this one on compared to those other two. When I do get in the mood for like just expanding the Indiana Jones verse and just getting to see more indie, then that's not attached to seeing the repetitiveness of those two other films, then I'm definitely gonna put on Last Crusade because I like the Indiana Jones where we get to go around and explore all these different places, and it's always like on the move with different locations. Now Indiana Jones 2, Temple of Doom, like it had pretty much like the quick spot at the beginning, and then mainly it was just that one set location for the majority of the film. And that's okay because I still love the adventure and everything else that was attached to it, but this is definitely something that I enjoyed more, that Raiders of the Lost Ark vibe where you're going from point A to point B, C, you're hitting every fucking letter in the alphabet. It's great, all those locations. So
Latin alphabet too.
Latin alphabet, yeah. I think we'll talk more about it too, but certain characters that are coming back from Raiders, which is fantastic. I love to see that, and just the introduction of Henry Jones, Sean Connery. I love that character so much. He's actually he has a lot of passion in this role, I feel like, so I'm excited to talk more about him. But the film overall, it's a good time.
Yeah, oh, you want to go next, Kirkland? I usually leave you last because you're the indie guy, but yeah.
You go. Like a rumba.
I was doing Alpha from Power Rangers because my
I was
kids are still
doing-
just watching Power Rangers. You wouldn't believe how hyped they are for some things that are going on down there. 3 Rangers just gave their powers to another one. It was like the fucking Super Bowl in the next room.
Shit.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. What were you doing?
I think it's a Looney Tune skit. I think. I'm not gonna
Give it to
put
me
all
again
my
one more
chips in
time.
there.
Oh, wait. Hang on. Hang on. Where do I, how do I give, how do I not give,
Hang on, there you go.
I'm just gonna
there you
remove.
go. Yeah. No, you're supposed
on.
to stay there.
There you go, there
You
you
got
go.
the
I don't
one.
like
Now
this
stop.
anymore. There's too
Taylor.
much- there's
Stop.
too much focus
All right.
on me now.
Now, what were you doing again? Give it to us again.
I was doing nothing. I was passing the mic to Travis. I can't wait to hear your
Do it,
thoughts
Chris.
on the Last Crusade.
yeah.
I've never heard your thoughts on the Last Crusade before.
Of course, it's the first time we're talking about it. Kirkland for years to tell me, like, wait, we're podcasting about one day. I can't tell you. No, I like the whole trilogy. I kind of love. They're all to varying degrees. I feel like I'm gonna have a boring take that I don't have much negative to say on this, and I think there's one big sticking point I have, and it's not even so much like, oh man, this brings it down. Like I've debated what my score could be, where the other ones were just flat 10, so I haven't decided. But I love the adventure. It is definitely closer to Raiders. That like Taylor said, A to Z, but just that adventure, that globe trotting and whatnot, that hunt, them versus an opposing team where, Temple was more, they're in the enemy's base camp and they're looking into a mystery and stuff like that. So I still enjoy that. Harrison Ford is still great. He still just has that charisma, and Sean Connery, he's great. And Sean Connery, I love that he's playing kind of against type. We'll get into that, but when you think of Connery, you think of Bond, or you think of Untouchables, you think of these very hardened performances, but he doesn't do that here for the most part. So, and they have great chemistry. So yeah, I think it's just another fun adventure. I think this is one of the best trilogies out there as far as consistency goes. I won't, of course, say where I rank it and stuff like that. We'll wait till that. But it's, I don't know. I think the good thing about this movie is there's at times where I think it's the best one, like my favorite. But then there's more than enough times where like, oh, this was probably the weakest of the trilogy. But I know there's times where I went, oh, I probably like it better than this one stuff. So I think it all depends. There's some great action set pieces here. I love kind of the third act of this film. I think it's very strong. We'll get into that. But I love how it comes down to and what Indy has to do to get certain things, which I know I'm not spoiling a movie. It's been out for 40 years now or whatnot. But still, I really like the pacing of the movie. It doesn't overstay its welcome. That's what makes me very curious about Dial of Destiny when all these Indiana Jones movies are like 2 hours and that one's like 2.5. And I feel like most of these indie movies are like a perfect length of this 2 hours. So I get it because this is the finale of Ford. Maybe that's why they want that extra, 15-minute death scene or something. But yeah, still really enjoy this. I love what Spielberg, Lucas, Williams, and Ford and company put together here. Other than one thing, but I'll wait till we dive deeper into it. So, Mr. Patzer.
Can't wait to dive into it. Yeah, I really, really I hate this. I hate that feature. I really love this movie. I feel like I've gone through phases of having each one of these three movies as my favorite Indiana Jones movie, and that just speaks to like the quality of that trilogy for myself, at least. I think for this one, it's the scale of it that just really shines through more so than like the relationship between Jones Senior and Junior. That's fantastic. I love the performances. It's definitely something I've appreciated in my later years. I'm sounding like an old man now, but like just on previous watches of this, more so than when I was a kid, I just love like the action sequence of it. I feel like that was in an era when I was playing like Medal of Honor and like those Call of Duty games were like centered around like World War II. So just like being around like that World War II era, I just really enjoyed things like that. So I really like the subterfuge
That's better, yeah.
that they have
That was
with,
tofu that you listed before there.
that they have with like the castle and the secret rooms and just them like sneaking around in Nazi Germany like incognito but like trying to hide from the Nazis. It's just that was a really fun aspect that the Indiana Jones movies brought for me specifically in this one. But no, I love the dynamic between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. They're just so fantastic. Like there's so many scenes in here that Sean Connery is just amazing, and he's just bringing it. And I feel like I haven't seen too many things of him, honestly, other than like his
League of
performance.
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I've never seen that. I don't think.
Don't worry about
that
it.
movie.
We'll retro it one day. It's the movie he retired off. I was like so bad.
Oh,
He's like, you know
no.
what? I think I'm done acting.
So
And
good.
that was it's a DC movie, so we'll get there one day. So
there you go. So one day. But no, he's so fantastic in this, and I think something too that is so, maybe it's not, but for me at least, I feel like it's a little bit underappreciated in the Indiana Jones series is just like, especially in this era, like late 70s to like 80s when this movie came out. I think this one was late 80s, like 89 or something. But just the scale of some of these sequences, whether it's like an actual like World War II era biplane or something, like just coming through the air, you can hear like the authentic audio, like just zooming by. And like I feel like we just take things like that for granted nowadays because the budgets are just crazy and a lot of it is CGI. But like back then, to have like this level of just scale on whether it's like a train sequence or the tank sequence in this movie, it's just, yeah, luckily I'm able to like look back on it, I'm like, man, this is such a special like series of movies, and like the care that they put into it with the practical effects on the explosions and everything. Like it's just, yeah, I love it. So this trilogy that I'm gonna call it, these three movies, is just so near and dear to my heart. I feel like I'll never really be done with it. Like I just have so many fond memories of going to like my grandpa's house, me, my dad, and my grandpa like watching these movies and just watching them at a young formative age that really just had it sticking with me. And I think like throughout all the movies, like they kind of go past that line of realism with like each movie has something that goes on where it's just like a little bit past something that could be explained, whether it's the arc going off, melting people's faces. Maybe that's happened. I don't know. I would probably assume not. But the Temple of Doom ripping hearts out, and then this one with the Holy Grail. I think they do it in such a way that it's like it's palatable enough because that's not the whole movie is like ghosts going off and murdering people. It's like the last moment of the movie, or like very small chunks, and it's just a really nice balance for me, at least. I don't know. It's something that just stands out that I think makes these movies kind of stand the test of time in my eyes. But yeah, I love it.
The theme is very godly. I mean, if you take out Temple of Doom, it's very much like the Nazis are obsessed with those godly artifacts.
It's true. Yeah.
Temple of Doom is just the reverse, like devil worship, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, maybe you misspoke. Did you say that you are in the camp that the Ark didn't actually melt those people's faces off?
Me?
Yeah, yeah. Because you said that. You give all
No,
the
I'm
examples.
saying like if there's actually an arc out there in real life that has melted people's faces off in like
Oh, okay. You're talking real life.
because I was saying like
okay.
the realism like fact like that line in the sand where it's like they're going off history
Okay.
like they're researching things. He's an archaeologist,
history.
but then they find these things and it's
Yeah.
like actually. It's actually all these like legends, like it's true.
Okay.
That's usually like what happens when he finds these things out.
Are you
It's
opening that arc up, Kirkland?
No, not at all. Come on, I have too many things to live for.
I just thought you had a big hot take. I'm like, how did we not talk about this in the first movie that you just thought was like, I don't know, in Indy's mind or something? like it was like, I'm like, that scene
Yeah.
is not up for interpretation.
My
Like,
favorite thing about the Indiana Jones movies is that it's just a dream. It's not even real.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, I don't know if that one works here, but I'm willing to hear you out.
I apologize for the confusion.
What's the confusion? But yeah, let's get into and stuff. Let's start at the beginning here because I want to go around and get everyone's thoughts on good old River Phoenix. We get a good flashback, which I absolutely love the way they do it, where the first 5 minutes they don't reveal it's a flashback. They keep showing like an Indiana Jones figure with like the leather jacket and the hat, and once he gets some sort of whatever trophy or the thing they're after the cross and the hat, they have it great, like the camera's covering his face and it pans up and you see it's not Harrison Ford, and then right after that it snaps to a scene of someone calling River Phoenix like, oh hey Indy, like what's going on? I love this flashback because I think this does what most prequel movies do but does it really good, where they do the okay, how did Indy get the hat, how do you get his fear of snakes and stuff like that. But in a movie like Han Solo or Solo, when it just feels like it's beating you over the head, this feels like it's in a natural way. And as usual, it sucks that we lost River Phoenix so young because he was such a talent. Like this, Stand By Me, like the kid had such a good charisma. I think he plays off a good, like, well, I see the line between River and Harrison to get to this point. So I really like it as like a mini adventure to start off the movie.
Yeah, I remember that first viewing, like kind of being confused that it, like it's not super clear that it is a flashback, whereas most times
No.
it's like 19 whatever, like where he
5
was-
years later.
yeah.
Nowadays,
something like
black
that. It's-
screen 5 years ago. Yeah.
They're really just making it easy for us, like it's Chat GPT
Yeah.
or something. Very very generic, but yeah, no, I really like just like the casting for it too. Like he does look like a young Harrison, at least in that getup, or a young Indy, I guess I should say. And I don't know, like it's the type of like little. I'm just gonna call it like a little quest that little Indy was on, and it's not like it's just and he just won, like he just saved the day and he won that mission. Like it's so much more complicated than that, and I don't know, because I feel like we always kind of see Indy win in the end, so it was kind of cool to have this adventure that really maybe pushed him further in that direction to go into this badass archaeologist. I don't even think he is is he an archaeologist? Like what's his
Boy
actual?
Scout. Unless
Like
he's an
at this
adult.
point, or his whole
No.
life.
Yeah, his whole life. Is
I
he an
think that's like
archaeologist?
his cover story, pretty much, is the
Yeah.
archaeologist.
By day.
That's why he
Badass
can like break
whip
into tombs
user.
and stuff and
Yeah, like
get
I think
arrested,
as
you know?
He's a
I think
professor of
in his
archaeology.
I think adult life
Okay.
he is. Kid life, no. I think kid life he's just taking an interest in that.
No,
and
yeah.
stuff.
No,
as a
but
kid,
that's-
he reads off like a con artist in a way or something. Like he'd be pulling
Yeah.
cons and stuff.
I was supposed to say like this event maybe pushed him further down that trajectory more so than, I don't know, maybe his following his father's
Almost
footsteps or
broke him.
whatnot. But I like too how it like ties into when we get him in modern day. Like he's still kind of finishing this mission as an older gent, and then of course he has that line with Brody, I think is his name, Marcus Brody. Yeah, that's the name, right, of his little buddy, and tells him, yeah, I've you know how long I've been looking for this? My whole life.
Right,
Yeah,
that
I like
Marcus,
that
yeah.
opening.
I love Marcus in this movie. Fun little character. I got one good joke that. Yeah, that's the joke. That's one of my favorite jokes in this movie. It's like, why would you give it to him? Oh, he knows hundreds of languages. He's been all around the world. He's probably already at the Grail right now. Smash cut to, hello, does anyone speak English? No, I'm a vegetarian. Sorry, and he's gone. Like it's a great switcheroo because they like first it makes Indy look dumb because like why do you bring the book here? And then he tear the page out so like, oh he's a genius. But then it's like he left with Marcus who has no idea what to do. So probably one of my funniest moments that cut to Marcus having no idea what to do in this country.
It gets me every time.
It's an innocent degree of humor, and I feel like this is like a classic in those older Spielberg films, like when Harrison Ford's like smashing the floor. And the guy that's doing the book stamps, like it's timing, and he's thinking it's him. And at times, 3 consecutive stamps, which is incredible.
That's impressive.
But yeah, he's
Like
like,
I got the power of God. All of a sudden.
I'm gonna go rob a bank. Villain origin story.
The opening sequence for me, it's weird. Like on paper, I feel like it's very unnecessary. I think it's very cheesy. I can't tell how much the cheesiness is intentional, but even just like him falling in the crate of snakes and like, oh, this is why he uses a whip is because of the, like it's all very stupid, and I kind of disagree. I think all the acting is bad, cheesy bad, but it's like so bad it's good. I find so I weirdly enjoyed the sequence, even though I look at it and I feel like it doesn't need to be there at all for story purposes. I don't think we need this is almost like so low levels of like unnecessary backstory setup for where this character came from for me. But I agree with you guys. I like I don't know. I guess the little bit of a fake out with you thinking that it's Indy there and that guy, even when he reveals his face, like he still looks a lot like Harrison Ford too. So, and I feel like that's a situation where maybe they didn't get the best actor, but they got a guy who looks a hell of a lot like Harrison Ford. So they nailed it in that way. But yeah, I just think that set piece is super fun too, with the train and all each car of the train being just some different part of the circus. That's very fun. I like the visual of it, and you get like that little like kind of 2D platformer sequence. Just all of the camera angles and shots there are very fun. So yeah, I ended up liking the sequence, even though once again I think it's a bit unnecessary and cheesy.
The only thing I think is necessary, I don't know if it's necessary, but I guess and you could shorten is they just want to establish that he's still after this artifact his whole life, but you could shorten stuff like that.
It's weird though, because like the artifact isn't even like the biggest thing about this movie though. It's just like yeah, he finally gets it in the beginning, but like it doesn't really go. Like it's not like it has a secret to find the Holy Grail. You know, like it's not a big key piece there.
Yeah, they could just highlight that it's some very important artifact, and I feel like it would have the same effect.
Yeah,
of you being like, oh yeah, this is an important thing that Indy's after. He's always after some random shiny object that's very important.
That's kind of how it feels though, because like even when he gives it to Marcus Brody, he's like Jazz, you know, like yeah, no, I was after this forever, and then Marcus is like, yeah, this is gonna go in the museum, and then like Indy just goes off. He's like, yeah, I'm still expecting like my commission pay for it, and like that is it. It's as if it is just like another trophy or shiny object that you know he is a professor. He likes to donate things to the museum, but he's also I feel like he just likes he likes the rush too of just being this treasure hunter, finding it and getting the ladies.
And plus, it's like the only successful thing he gets in this whole franchise, because everything else he never ends up with, right? We've talked about that. All these adventures he's been on, like he doesn't get the Grail, he doesn't get the Ark. He does like I guess the Ark he kind of does, but they take it away from him, right? They put it in like that boxed area with all those crates and stuff like that. So the idea was, put it in the museum, but it's like, well, can't really do that. And even then, we talked about like he didn't get the Ark. It's just that the Ark like ate those guys up, and then Temple of Doom he saved the kids, but then they lost like whatever that thing broke in half. So this is like the one, at least this cross is like the one thing you'd be like, oh look, I brought it back in 40 years of movies, you know.
Isn't he like
maybe
immortal
in 5
though? Didn't he like drink from the
You have to stay there to be immortal.
Oh, that's how. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was something that just never fully made sense to me. How they just drink the
go beyond
immortal.
the seal and you're out.
See, I thought that was only attached to like the Grail though. There's a lot of things at the end I feel like I have some issues with, but I never really did until like this particular viewing. So I'm excited to discuss that once we get there. But spicy. And I feel like just finishing for the flashback sequence. I do like how it establishes like the dicey relationship between senior and junior. Like right away, it's like, okay, yeah, Indy doesn't have the greatest relationship. Like his father isn't always like listening to him, and then that's kind of added onto like later on. Like Indy is actually mentioning those things when they're on the blimp, or is it called a blimp? No, it's like a zeppelin, right? When it's that scale of
Yeah.
yeah.
Right,
Well,
and because
if
there's
you
a
say
restaurant
blimp,
there.
I think I'll give it to you.
Yeah, it's like half marks or something.
It's like an alligator versus crocodile. It's like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
enough.
Tomato.
No, that's a good scene because what a bad, like I get why he says it, but what a terrible thing for a dad is to be like, oh, I left when you were just getting interesting and stuff like that. Like, and then, like I love like he just tries to justify what a good daddy is. Like, oh, well, I didn't give you any rules. I let you do all this and stuff like that. So yeah, you do get to see some of it here and everything. So
Yeah.
Taylor, before we go on, what were your thoughts on the flashback before we just kind of go wherever?
I really, really did enjoy this. I think that it's a fun time with how they introduce. His name is River Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is late sounds like it, like he passed away, but like when I say late, that sounds like it happened recently. But
And they're siblings, is that correct? Or
yes,
Okay.
that's
what
why I
a
said
brother
late
is,
brother. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear brother.
I didn't hear brother
Different
either.
sibling.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's really, really cool. It's very unfortunate though, but yeah, I think he did a great
Don't do
job. Like
drugs.
he totally sells the young indie factor. It's absolutely incredible how well he sells that. Just his mannerisms and how he's portraying it. I think he does a great job, and I loved everything with the adventure to the train. And that snake is exceptionally fake, but it definitely. It's funny just when you see the snake pop in the cave and he's like, it's just a snake. Doesn't don't worry about it. And then this event happens and it just terrifies him. But probably one of my just favorite just movie transitions is when the score is picking up, that Indiana Jones theme is kicking in because the guy puts the hat on the kid, like, what did he say? Like, you're not going to win all the time, like, or something like that. He gives him like,
Well, yeah, he said, yeah, you didn't win today, and I think he says like it's not bad to feel mad about. Like he says something about like you feel down about this, but it's good to feel down because it's going to motivate you pretty much. I'm butchering the actual quote, but that's what it is. Just being like, kind of keep the anger of losing because you can use that in the future and stuff
you're
like
ready,
that.
come and find me.
No, he didn't say that. Smash cut to him just shooting this guy down.
I'll be waiting for you.
So when he puts that hat on, the Indiana Jones theme just starts to really rev up, and then Indy like lifts his head up, and it's just on the stormy ship.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
that's fucking great. Even without Indiana Jones there, the people on that boat were fucked. Like, Jesus Christ, that ship was going down.
Yeah, I don't know what the game plan was there really with that one. They were just trying to get away and stuff, but yeah, good little opening. And yeah, anytime as usual, a theme whenever it kicks in, I'm like, oh, I'm here and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to jump to Kirkland just because we kind of broke off the natural conversation. But yeah, we were talking about the Grail. What did you want to bring up with the Grail?
Well, I think it's mostly just I don't know, like the actual like trials and like things that they do. I always just ate it up like this is the most epic thing ever. Like no one's ever come into this area before, like since the time of Jesus Christ, and this one knight has been there forever, and only like the worthy can actually like only the worthy can make it through these trials. But like I'm thinking about them, like you don't need the diary to do this at all. Like to do these trials, like you could.
Yeah, they do. I think because isn't that transcribed
maybe the cup.
like? No, but doesn't it?
Just knock off every single one. Just like for the stepping stone one, just knock off every single one, and then the ones.
The blades, he would have been
Yeah, the blades
decapitated if he
kneel
didn't know to
before
kneel
God.
at God. Yeah, if
Okay,
you don't have that, you
okay.
just walk in and die.
Did it say kneel and then do a fucking like somersault to avoid
Yeah, it
the
did.
next blade? No, it didn't.
Kneel and somersault
thing
before
is-
God.
I mean, I'm with Kirkland here. Like, if they see the one guy didn't kneel and gets his head chopped off, then don't you just like not do that and then you're good?
So that one I agree, but
they
like
had
with
like 30 people. I think they could have like Squid Gamed this thing and like got through it for sure.
I also don't think the blocks thing is as easy as you're pitching though, because like there could be a point where let's say you screwed a bunch and you get in the middle, and if you screw up, there's no like backfall or stuff like that. So
It's true.
I think it's I think you need that to get past and stuff.
I was
you
trying
know?
to devil's advocate that one myself, like, because I was like, why didn't they just knock them all out and then just step on the right ones? But I was like, maybe like if they knock off too many, all of them will fall. That was kind of like my push against it there. But like the optical illusion one, it's like just believe. But I don't know. Like I've seen some crazy optical illusions before, and they like. I think also like the camera angle that they went on to like reveal the optical illusion, it's like that is so like holy fuck, man. Like with how
love
much
it.
dust
No,
with how much
that's good.
dust would be like in this cave, you would so clearly just like see like a thick line. But like I said, like this was the only viewing where it really was jarring to me. I feel like I always just thought it was epic. I loved it. It's very again like that treasure hunter type like thing that just I think it's a big reason why I really like the Uncharted game too, because I just think that's like basically an Indiana Jones like take where you have this badass historian type
Gates
guy.
family fan here. Benjamin Gates.
See, I think with
Exactly.
with
With
the
totally, I think it all derived from Indiana Jones.
with the illusion, like to me, like the thing that goes after the illusion as a guy that's been there for 500 years, I kind of take that as if you don't take a step, that thing's not actually there. Like there is some kind of magic with it, because if it was just treasure, then I'd say, okay, I can buy, like, why wouldn't you see it, this and that? But again, in that cave, there's a man that's
Yeah.
lived for 500 years with the Holy Grail. So I think that to me has some sort of, there is like a belief sort of system
fair.
and stuff like that. And it's more headcanon, but again, it's just like, because we're dealing with sort of magic stuff. And I really like the reveal, because I like the way they, sure, there could be dust and all, but I love the way they transition and he takes that step and they do pull away. I enjoy that kind of reveal of,
Yeah.
okay, this is what's been there before. And plus, it looks like people haven't even got to that point, right? So it's not that other people didn't do it. It's just like none of those I would assume, because the night is like finally a night after 500 years. So like I'm assuming everyone's just been chopped up, because even the walkway hasn't even gone, right? So
Yeah.
everybody that's tried has just taken one step and been shish kebabbed and stuff like that, which that's my name. I love when the first guy goes, his head gets cut off and rolls, and like, all right, next volunteer. And like the entire group is just like screaming in madness because like no one's volunteering, but they're like shoving them. But they say it so calmly, like, oh yeah, people are willing to go do this and stuff like that. So I'm a sucker
Yeah.
for that rating sort of moment, you know.
It's crazy to think just the perspective of this knight. He's there for like 500 years, and he just thinks like, oh, there's still knights
No
out
TV.
there, still medieval ages, yeah, like, and then all of a sudden it's just like Indy comes in, and then it's like one after the next, like 4 fucking people just strutting here. It's like,
There's
oh,
So
so
many
these
knights to take my place.
So many knights.
It's like I'm weak, but I'll do you.
I love that when he's like, you have to duel, and he just gives Indy the sword. It's like, this man doesn't want to duel at all. He just wants to
No.
die and stuff like
It's
that.
real
that room
tired,
must
boss.
smell horrible.
Oh, yeah. Because his dead buddies are in there too, don't forget. So it's not just him. There's some corpses in that room. Yuck. You know, so.
He's looking pretty pale. No sunlight or anything.
Oh, yeah. Very pale.
I see where you come from, Kirkland. I feel like it is, that whole sequence is a bit cheesy and almost maybe a bit too easy, but I love it for what it is. I think it's just it's very fun, and for whatever reason, that's like the one sequence of the movie that has stuck in my memory after all these years. Nothing else. I felt like I was watching a movie I'd never seen before until I got to that. I'm like, oh, I must have seen this whole movie if I've seen this particular sequence here. But even going into it, like it's filmed at Petra, which is just like such a beautiful place, right? I think it's in Jordan, if I'm remembering correctly.
You got
but
it.
Yeah, just so beautiful. So I like that they shot it there. It's kind of.
It's one of like the 7 wonders of the world, isn't it?
I
Like
think
that
so, yeah.
particular, yeah.
The ancient city of Petra. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 8 is King Kong, if you've seen that movie. Little history lesson for you kids out there.
Fuck. Or onto the Giants.
Back to you.
but-
Back to you in sports.
So, Kirkland, you had some issues with the Grail, how we were trying to get here. Or was that it? Just getting into the Grail and stuff like that?
Well, like,
You
I
need the
think
diary,
I think
right?
it is. Sorry, say it again.
You said that they didn't need the diary to get in there.
Well, that's where I was kind of just like trying to find ways on why you wouldn't need the diary to get this. Like he didn't need the diary. Like there's nothing in the diary that even told him like what the cup was as well. They just went off of the basis of like, okay, well Jesus was a carpenter, so you need like it wouldn't be a gold cup, and like they went they went that route. I do like all that stuff for sure, and like although I'm nitpicking it, like I do still love that scene. I remember seeing that for the first time as a kid and just thinking it's the coolest thing ever. The line, you chose poorly. I feel like I drop that line, or like the wisely, like the reverse version of it. I feel like I drop it quite often in my everyday, and if people don't catch that reference, I just am a little bit disappointed. But
Cut them off from your life.
yeah.
Remove them, delete their contact info.
I cannot talk to you anymore. But like I think also there's some cheeseballness when the Grail, what's her name, Elsa. She takes the Grail past the symbol, and then it's all crumbling. It's going down to the depths, and then Indy's trying to save her. She's so she's so like just fixate on it, and
She's
I get
so
it.
far
Like
away.
it is like, let's just say it's the greatest object in the world. Like you would be probably pretty captivated by it. It's probably like a part
Make
of
you a
the
lot of
magic
money, too.
if you wanted a head. Yeah, I think that's what Joan Sr. was saying, right? Like she was after the treasure, not like actually what the Grail was. I like that line a lot. But then, it's like Indy's like, just let it go, like you're slipping. I'm gonna help you. And she dies. He's in the exact same position of her, and he's like, Dad, I can almost reach it. Like
The
now.
the difference is her. She's so far away. He literally is rolling it with his finger. Where it's like, no, he could get it, but I
It's
I
true.
agree with
It's
you.
true,
The pacing
but,
of
like-
it's a little
Where's
off.
his whip in that situation?
He needed it,
range
then.
grab.
It got cut by when he did the roll. It must have got lobbed off
Well,
and stuff
he-
like that. The
I
god
think he
roll.
lost his whip in the tank scene. I think he
think he
uses
did,
it
yeah.
for something, and then he like tosses it to someone.
Oh, but he probably just went to the whip store to buy another one.
Didn't have
Well,
time,
Yeah, I didn't
You
have
think
time.
he
He
would
was still
go
in the
into the
desert.
final dungeon without his weapon? That's all he. That's all he
You gotta
has.
go
I guess he has a
His
gun.
dad was shot though, right? So the clock was ticking, so he has to get moving. I guess that happened in the cave, but
That happened.
I think they were just racing against the clock because Donovan.
yeah,
was-
because
I
they're
picture
getting up.
Indy to be one of those guys that back at his house, he has like 10 of those hats, 10 of those wigs.
Yes.
and he just has the same.
He's an indie
wardrobe.
cave.
Yeah, exactly. he's got all of it.
the
I
bad
agree.
kid
He,
that Indiana
he should have
Jones.
brought more of them. And maybe he had a double. Remember when the tank also rolled down up the hill? Maybe he lost it in that. I don't know. He should have, but they're running to it. But yeah, I guess the way I just take that is the pacing of that scene is a little weird. I just headcanon it's almost like the Ring from Lord of the Rings, where it's just like
Yeah,
the second it's
for sure.
around, you're like, oh, I need this thing. But it's at this point, it's like other than the heirloom, like doesn't have any of the juice. And
Mm-hmm.
as we've established that it's like you have to stay there to be really immortal. So it's like, well, what's the point of like, I don't know what type of life is
Yeah,
like. Is that
Can you? Well, what is this rule with? So you have to be specifically in that room or just like in that area.
In that area, the seal can't go beyond the seal.
so? It's like, why would you want to be immortal? Just hang out in this cave with a
One
bunch
guy
of
thought it was
dead
a good
people.
idea. The cave's collapsing, and he's
Or can you like
waving
go
by.
back there and like refill and then go get like 10 years in the real world and then come back and have another sip kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what I wondered. Like the rules of breaking of it,
Like
because
a
they
Davy
made it sound
Jones
like
thing.
yeah, because like Taylor won the guy that was waving the night. He just wanted to die. He wasn't just
I laughed so hard that scene because I like in this version I'm like, what if he's like help me, like take me with you, and they
Oh,
just
he's saying
fucking
goodbye.
leave. And he just gets crushed.
He couldn't do anything to save him.
Dad, I think he wants us to help him. No, I don't think so, son. Let's get the fuck out of here.
I found that character the most comedic on this watch. I don't know what was going on with this watch, but I was just seeing a different movie in some aspects, but it was all good.
I do love how ghostly they make him. I love when everyone else is in the room and they look normal, and they definitely put some makeup on him and they have like the white light on him. But I love that everyone else is like normal skin tan, stuff like that, and he's just like white as the Joker. Like he looks like he is needing some water, like needing some food. Like he's
All
that's
like
not his
Gollum,
dead
really.
friends. Yeah, you got the Grail there and stuff. So yeah, I guess it would just be more about getting that treasure, because I wouldn't want to. It's not worth being immortal if you're just like in the sealed room all your life. Like and the night I kind of buy, because like, well, that was a different era and they believe they have to guard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like, well, I'm not sure keep this Grail and stuff like that, And
I do love the shot of the instant aging for that
Yeah.
poor guy. It was like some Evil Dead shit for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Loved it.
I love too just like focusing on the night, like when Donovan grabs the wrong Grail. And it's like like the knight is just watching this guy about
Yeah.
to just fucking die right in
He's
front
seen
of
this
him.
happen a few
Choose
times.
wisely.
This is his
Choose
TV
wisely, my
entertainment after
friend.
500 years.
And like the camera's clearly focused on Donovan, but like you could just see the knight like in the background, and he just like it's
He's
not like he's a
happy.
straight face, like he's like a little bit concerned, like I'm about to just see another guy get murdered right in front of me.
Another one.
Yeah, that guy's
preparing
mind has
his
got to be
chose.
just fucking scrambled eggs at this point.
Yeah, it's gotta
So
be.
You can't blame him too
I-
much.
When you have Elsa, you talked about this, Kirkland, when she's trying to reach for the thing. That always gets a kick out of me because I didn't realize that until after obviously Frozen. They're like, Elsa, just let it go, and now you have Elsa, let it go,
Oh,
let it
look at you.
go.
Oh,
It's the
damn,
blueprint.
That's crazy.
The
I'm gonna
blueprint,
say it's
there you
just a
go.
It's all Disney.
coincidence, but
It's all
That's definitely not.
There's no such
coincidence.
thing as coincidences, Trav.
you don't think it's a coincidence?
I think
It's all
someone
tied
probably at
together.
Pixar watched, or not Pixar, or just like Disney watched
No.
this and was like,
That's a rule. If you work
was
at
in the
Pixar, you
script.
haven't seen any Indiana Jones films. Yeah, it just said rip off. It said song rip off Indiana
all the
Jones
layoffs.
3.
Oh, all these people didn't watch Indiana Jones 3. We're gonna get them out of here.
All these people, one of the most popular movies in the world. All these people didn't watch this movie. You're gonna rip it off.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
kids
that's
in
no, but
2015 are gonna love this reference to the third Indiana Jones film.
yeah. When that's gonna happen in Frozen 3, they're gonna be doing something and fucking Indy's gonna be like, I need the ice princess, and he's gonna have to kidnap Elsa and take her with her. And she's like in this museum stuck in a glass case. Hey, you see this one? I caught her in some frozen land.
Giddy like
God
a
damn.
schoolboy.
Yeah. Well, that happens in this one where the final finale is like they go into Elsa and yeah. That's you brought up the cup, and then it's very strange because like there's this moment where I'll just throw it out. I did not like Elsa, the character, at all in this movie for multiple reasons. And it's funny because like with Marianne, I like that's the classic best chemistry, good romance. I defended, I'm even forgetting her name now. Who's the woman from the second one? It's like Tilly or Lil or something like that.
Oh my
but
gosh,
I
yeah.
liked that
Favorite,
because
come on, you
yeah,
forgot.
I know, I forgot. I liked her because of just the comedic kind of annoyance they have with one another, and it was just like over the top hijinks. So you had like
Willie.
the real love, Willie, see Tilly, Lily, I was so close. You had the true love story. You have the over the topness. This was just like very melodramatic meh of. It's funny we talked about in the first retrospective where they didn't want Indiana Jones to be Bond-like, and I feel like this was the most Bond-like he was, where they have this very almost Bond-like sex scene where like, oh, well, I don't want to kiss you, well, you wouldn't kiss me.
Heated.
It is, but it feels very Bond-like, and then what happens is like every 20 minutes it's like, is she on her side, is she not? Like that's a classic Bond trope. And even in this like Holy Grail scene, it's like she's with the Nazis, okay, she gets that guy to like drink the cup, okay, she's stealing the grail, making run for it, okay, Indy has to save her, okay, she dies. Like I was not a fan of the flip-flopping. I was not a fan of the choice to make her sexually involved with both Indy and the dad. I thought that was kind of an like, it's just like I don't know. This is needed really. I would have preferred him just being
Not
her,
everyone's
like
kink.
no, but like just like that's not what I need in these films. Be like, yeah, I had a good time with her too, son. Like all these, like they like it's almost the most misogynistic that this movie has felt. It's not like over the top, but it just doesn't work for me. The love stuff, I don't think they have really much chemistry.
I don't remember that line in the movie.
But it's pretty
Clap
much like,
those cheeks too, eh, Junior?
well, no. There is a line where they're tied up, right? And she says something like, "Oh, I had such a wonderful time," and Indy's quiet, and he's like, "Oh, I did as well." And then she says Indy, and he's like, "Oh, because he was talking to Indy," but he's pretty much making that comment of like, "Yeah, I took a ride on that lassie," and it's just none of it worked for me. Chemistry, the dad backstory, the flip-flopping of, well, I'm working with the Nazis, but I just want the grail, but I'm fine with these innocent people dying, but I'm not this bad person, just didn't work for me. So that's the only thing that probably is keeping it from being like a full 10 like the other ones, because I didn't care anytime it was happening. Where the other two, I had some fun or did care. So Elsa, not for me. Glad she fell down that cave.
I think I'm kind of mixed on the character. I definitely liked her more than Willie, but nowhere close to Marion is her name in the first one, right?
Yeah.
I guess so. At the start of the movie, I loved the first scene the first couple scenes that they have when they're flirting, in just the streets of Venice, and then when they're in that church and they're going on that little adventure through the like tunnel system, like all of that, I really enjoyed that dynamic. I thought it was really fun. And then there's obviously the reveal that she's a bad guy, but then she like kind of for me, I guess like the flip-flopping after that never really worked, because she's like, I guess I just didn't care anymore. I'm like, okay, well, whether like she might want to help him out at some point, but she's still a Nazi at this point. So like, like she's obviously never going to be a good person. She's never going to be a hero. And then, I mean, when she dies, like, you know, there's just no emotional investment at that point. So I think it started out strong and it just kind of progressively got worse. I also felt like it was somewhat predictable that she was going to be evil just in that Venice sequence. Even though I was liking the chemistry, I was still getting a vibe. I was just smelling something in the air, and normally I don't, so I think it was just maybe a bit too obvious or something like that.
Getting that Nazi smell.
I was getting that Nazi smell. But I don't think it's a failure. I think it just ends up being okay. When it's all said and done. I think she's like, she on her own has some good charisma. I think good acting there. Not that I've ever seen her in anything else other than she was actually in RRR. She just looks a lot different these days than she did
30 years later,
back then. But I was kind of surprised when I went on her IMDb and I was like, RRR, what? When the hell was she in that movie? So that's funny. Kind of an interesting connection. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say on Elsa, really.
Yeah,
Oh, I was just gonna say I'd love to have Indy be somewhere around the RRR world. You know, like I feel like those franchises could mix well. Like at the beginning with the tiger and stuff. Oh yeah, and in Harrison Ford dancing and shit like that. Ooh. Damn, we'd be That's how we lose him though. All these broken ankles.
Back in the '90s, if we made RRR back then.
I'd say Elsa is my least favorite of like the just. If we're comparing her to Willie and Marion, just because I think the flip-floppiness is something that just like always confused me as a kid as well. So I just like didn't like the character because I was just confused, like most people. You know, if you don't understand something, you'll resist it. You won't like it. And that was me with this character because she's like so clearly for the mission of the Grail, and she's like very passionate about it. I actually like the sequence when they're at like the book burning, and she's just like in tears because like history is like very important to her, and just like she is somewhat of a scholar. So I do like that scene a lot, but it's just I think the fact that the flip-floppiness goes the entire distance, and Indy is just like rose-tinted glasses when it comes to her. It seems like it doesn't matter if she was the one that shot Senior. I think he still would have been like trying to save her, like just let it go, Elsa. Like it's totally fine. It's like holy fuck, man, just get out of the cave. You just brought your dad back to life. Like get out of there. Let her go for the Grail. So don't love the character, and but I'm still kind of conflicted with it because there is aspects of her dynamic. I think like inclusion of the movie, like when she is revealed to be kind of that double agent, like she is working for the Nazis. Like I do like that aspect. Like I was fooled the whole time, but I think I just kind of wish it stayed that, and then maybe at the end that's when you have like, I don't know, somewhat of a resolution, like her actually be the one that takes out Donovan on purpose, like she did, give him the wrong cup. But I don't know. It's tough though, because I don't know how I would personally make her a better character at all. But yeah.
Taylor, that's it. Yeah. Unless you have nothing to say, go ahead.
No, honestly, I think Elsa she's definitely my number second. She's really, really, she's up there.
My number second.
Yeah, Marion is my number one. I just think there's an interesting component with Elsa where she feels to me like she is just the female version of the guy from the Raiders of the Lost Ark, who's like that researcher working with the Nazis. I just feel like she's just like an equivalent to that, but like this one is just like sleeping with the Joneses, so...
like the dude with the glasses?
Not that Nazi. He was the researcher.
Scar.
No, not him. He's like, it seems I'm always ahead of you, Dr. Jones.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
yes.
so I feel like they're both kind of like parallels in some shape or form.
I fooled you again.
I don't see that, but
Dr.
that's
Jones.
fine. Because
I don't remember that
guy.
line from Elsa.
That guy was never like ever helped Indy out. He was always against.
that's why I
Indy and
like-
stuff.
I
That's why I
enjoyed our
like-
time together.
But him and Indy also
Yeah.
had sex, right? That
Yeah.
was such a plot point. Yeah.
I did as well, son. He was a good shag.
I got to
that's
try
why-
everything once.
That's why I like.
I don't think I met your mother.
I like her because she was playing that other card, and again, like you said, that book burning scene where she's just.
I wish the
getting
guy in the
pissed.
first movie also tried that, and he's like, "What the fuck are you trying to do here?"
Wouldn't have worked. But yeah, I think she's definitely an intriguing character, and I liked how I did not pick up on her betrayal until a moment that scene lands where Henry Jones Sr. is just basically like, oh, shoot her, don't trust them.
Right
that's
away,
when
he's
you
just
know.
like, "Oh, you didn't know? I knew right away she was a terrible person." Like everybody's like, "Yeah, Indy, you're an idiot. You didn't pick up on this." And he's like, "No, not really. I guess." Like he doesn't comment on it, but he just has
Well,
this
they
look
slept
of
with
shock.
each
where
other
everyone's
just like the day before, right? So he's still
Yeah,
good
but-
guys.
I guess, but so did Dr. Jones, like senior. So he's been around that trolley too, and he sussed it out. So, but he didn't also do anything about it either. It's weird that he just kind of knew she was a Nazi.
Oh
He
no,
was
he
just
just he just had his way, and then just filed the book off away.
like,
Broomed
yeah, I
her.
guess so.
Broomed her.
Yeah.
What's
Do what
Norman's
you
line?
need to and broom her fast.
Broom her fast. That's what he did.
Your mother is beautiful. They're all beautiful. Yeah. Go watch Spider-Man. Just watch that this week. Willem Dafoe would have been great in one of these movies, but too bad that didn't.
It's never too late. They're making new ones, right? He can pop.
I
into
think it's too
another
late.
They
sequel.
Unless
always
he's
need
in
more
this one.
Nazis. So
Maybe he is.
Let's make a spin-off about Willem Dafoe as a Nazi. They're like, we want to show from the villain's point of view now in these Indiana Jones series and stuff. But man,
I want to shout out, I guess, this sequence since we're talking about Elsa here. The sequence in Venice, I think, was one of my favorite, just individual sequences of the movie. Once again, because I did like the dialogue between them. But when they're in that church, I just like that little puzzle of them having to figure out where this entrance to the tomb is, and particularly the cinematography in these movies is just really great. Whoever's holding that camera in these movies is always doing a good job, but I thought this shot was exceptionally good, where he finds like the two numbers on like these different posts, and they're trying to find the other one. I don't know how they don't instantly see the massive X on the ground, leaving that aside because we're doing it for a cool camera angle, but then like zooming out behind that staircase and then like kind of going up and obscuring it behind that staircase as he walks up, and then kind of out to the right and looking, and then you kind of go over his shoulder and look down at what he's seeing and seeing the X in the ground there. Just really, really cool. And then later they're like hiding those, like when the thugs come in to knock out the other guy, they like are hiding the camera behind those stairs again. I don't know why they're very attracted to the stairs for whatever reason in that sequence, but I really like that part. And then when they go down in the tomb, it just was giving me like Skyrim vibes, the way it was designed down there, and some like Draugr tomb. So I really liked all that. And then a little bit of Plague Tale with all the rats everywhere, which felt very authentic. Like, it seemed like they had real rats going around. So I'm sure that was a messy sequence to make. So that was pretty cool. And then, just after it too, like all the boat chase stuff, I think is a very fun, over-the-top action scene. So just that whole maybe 15-minute sequence I found really enjoyable, and kind of a good, it's not the start of the movie, but it's in the first, 20, 25 minutes, and a good like early set piece, I think.
So for the rats, and a piece of trivia, 2,000 rats were bred for production. Breeding them was specifically necessary, as ordinary rats would have been riddled with disease. So all those rats were literally just born to be in this movie.
Where do you think they
their
dumped
purpose.
them after they were done filming?
With the diseased ones,
New York.
probably.
Don't let
Probably.
PETA know. Yeah. This movie probably had a lot of
These
issues
these
now.
super rats that are
Yeah.
bred
They're probably...
to act in Hollywood movies.
Yeah, they're probably like Planet of the Apes are still playing like a takeover. One day we're gonna have talking rats like come up on the ground and just take over and stuff.
Are you
but
still allowed to
it's-
breed rats for movies these days, or is that not okay?
Well, one, I think you would just CGI it because like you wouldn't because even like it's funny recently. It's a weird poll, but like Zack Snyder was talking about like when they did Man of Steel, they had to pick this field and they were going to shoot, but then the production supervisor was like, well, you can't shoot this Kansas farm because we got to grow for the corn. He's like, okay, well, how long does that take? He's like, it's going to take 6 to 8 months. It's like, fuck. So that's
Who
I
said
think
we have
like
to grow the corn.
whoever the
producer?
production assistant was on, yeah, like whoever was
it
in
his
charge
corn?
of the. But no, it was just some
corn,
field, and they just needed a field. But that's where I feel like nowadays with production schedules, like corn growing, rat breeding, they're just gonna be like, just get some guy to work 25 hours overtime and CGI these rats and stuff like that. So
25 hours overtime. Oh,
well, some of those
give 'em a
FX guys,
break.
but yeah, the rich and yeah, no, Ant-Man got to get out in February. You CGI those ants, but
Imagine doing
like,
25 hours overtime and then just read online. It's like VFX sucks. The CGI is terrible.
100%. That like how does that happens? But they just gotta
Terrible
crack
life.
it. But that's where it sucks. It's like these rats are so good, but like I do understand. That's why there's something fun about the 70s, 80s filmmaking where it's just like there's something badass. Like man, they literally had all these rats for this shot and they had to get them burbed and all these things like that. But nowadays it's like, yeah, and I same thing if you're legally allowed to do that. Like maybe you'd have to partner with PETA and like organize these rats would be released somewhere or this, that, and stuff like that. Because obviously they're always on people's ass with like, but that's why most people just even then will see, they'll just CGI because there's like even lawsuits and stuff like that. They don't want to deal with anybody coming after them. So it's like, just do the rats. So there's something about this time where it's like, that's a cool feature, man. Imagine whose job that was. Like, what you doing? Oh, well, I'm breeding rats for the Indiana Jones 3rd movie. Like, that's your life for a few months, So
The rat guy.
He's a credit. He must be a
man.
credit there.
yeah, I'm the rat guy. Where do we want to go next? Should we talk about? Oh, that's the fingers up. There you go.
Dylan, you were talking about that intro, or not intro, that tomb sequence and everything with the library and leading into the boat chase. Our boy, what was his name? Kazim, thank you. He totally just dished out the information like instantly. Like it totally turned on a dime. Like I feel like it was reverse psychology because Indiana Jones was like, "Are you ready to die?" He's like, "I'm ready." Are you ready?
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
"You're out of time."
That guy.
No, you are Dr. Jones. I'll tell you what you want to know. Good luck on your quest. He totally just sends them off and like, okay, if he finds his dad, he's probably going to find the Grail. I feel like it just kind of backfired, which it did because they found the Grail. It was just weird. It's like, drop me off at this dock here. And he's like buckling up his suit. He's like, I'll tell you everything you need to know. It's just very weird.
It
is a
funny when you
weird
look at
set
that.
piece.
And like when he's like Indy's about to kill him essentially. He's just like, "Yeah, I'm ready to die." And like
Are you?
Nothing happens. Well, yeah, they have that dialogue and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
Then Indy just like saves the guy. And then it goes to that dialogue. He's like, "Drop me off here and I'll let you know where your father is." And then he's like buttoning up his suit like nothing just happened. Like was not close to death at all. But I guess that maybe just leans into that character type of him being so die hard
Flashes his ink a little bit.
his what?
His ink.
Oh yeah, his
That's
ink.
later on.
His,
yeah,
his
when he's
singed
yeah.
ink.
And
His
like
chest.
he's just looking for an opportunity to be in a life and death situation. Like he'd give the information, but he just gets off on playing like hardcore uncle games. It's just like he's just like
That's why
the night
Indy
in the
got off
tomb.
of him. He was just hard. He was just
It's a
so
rush for him.
yeah, like literally he's just asking for excuses. Like I'll never tell you, and he says that line like I'm prepared to let my soul leave my body. Are you? And then he's like, oh, like, and he doesn't even just leave him there and jumps. He's like, yeah, has to. And even the way he saves him, like Indy gets on the boat and he like gets on after. So it's a weird little. And he doesn't make it. He pops up later. R.I.P. to that guy. So
He could have he had potential to be that same character like from The Mummy where he like ends up like partnering like with the team. I forget his name. But yeah, like they have that fun moment where when the Nazis are dealing with that one like I don't know, royal type guy that they give him the Rolls Royce, and then that's when he gives him all the materials that he needs to find the Grail.
What a trade.
Yeah. Super trade. And then like that guy is there and it's like, oh, he's gonna be working in the shadows, and then they have that ambush that just is it's not successful at all. And like that's just the end of that story. I do like that aspect of like a secret society that's guarding it, but I think especially like going from The Mummy, like I've seen it done better there. So I just I'm not even gonna say wasted potential because I feel like that's too hard of a term, but some potential could have been squeezed out of that to make it better.
That much better. And not the
Yeah.
well, I mean like the secret society, they could have planned.
Yeah, the
their
Brotherhood
attack
of the
much better.
cruciform sword.
Not so-
Yeah. Shoot the tank! It's like our bullets can't go through it.
the guy's just off to the side. No, shoot it. I'm ready to die. It's like no, we don't gotta die, sir.
They're all like Do we have to? Do we have
Yeah.
to listen to this guy?
Call my bluff. The next point I was going to get to is like I think we all touched upon it, but just like for the overall, the thing that I like the most about this movie is the father-son relationship. I love their chemistry. I love that right away when Connery and him meet, it's like, you know, Jones Sr. is very warm and he's like hugging him and he's very happy to see him. And Harrison Ford is like a little off guard, but not in that classic way where it's like, oh, they're going to hate each other for the whole movie, last 20 minutes, like come together. I like that it's kind of on and off where they're acting together really well. They always are kind of like trying to one up on each other, but it never feels like he hates his father. It feels like they're distant, but it never feels like some movies where it's just like, oh, we got to wait a whole 2 hours before they have their, you know, good moment and stuff like that. And that's where I like where he's pretty friendly to Junior until like when we get to that, like, you know, the blimp, whatever it is. And they have that conversation and he finally starts to kind of have enough of Indy's shit of just like, you can't complain. Like I let you stay up late. I let you do this. I let you have your freedom. I want you to be your own man. And like you said, it's kind of an insult, but he says like, I left when you were getting interesting. And it is fun because when he sees like Indy shoot a guy, he's not horrified. He's like amazed. He's like, what did you do to these men? I can't believe it. Like, it's fun to see like this would have been Indy if he didn't have that adventurous side because he's not like a fighter. He's not shooting. He's just the brain of all. So that's what I like, that it's very layered and they got very good chemistry. I thought those two work really, really well together and they feel like a father-son dynamic. So it's definitely like a home run in this. I always looking forward to that.
I was going to push back a little bit on... I feel like he's not amazed when Indy's killing people. Because specifically when they're on that bike chase, Indy, like... I think he, like, sabotages the boat at one point, and then Indy's all, like, pumped, and then it just goes to, like, Sean Connery, and he's just, like unimpressed. And then there's another one where... I can't remember if he shoots the guy or if he just, like, causes... Oh, it's when he's, like, doing the fucking jousting thing, and then he, like, throws it in the spokes... Fucking like 16 front flips, lands, huge explosion, and then Indy like looks back and does that again, where he's like, "Yeah, that was awesome, eh?" And then Sean Connery's just like a little bit more of like, "Oh, I could have handled that a little bit more scholarly." At least that's the way I took it.
Why is he so jazzed when he shoots those guys? Like in the middle of the film, he shoots those guys.
Like
because he's
in
like,
the
Indy,
castle?
look what you done. Yeah, when they escape.
I didn't think
He's
he
not
was, like,
jazzed, but
happy, because it was more
he's
like,
not
like
disappointed
disbelief.
either, though.
Not just
I
not
guess,
disappointed,
but he's
disbelief, because he's never seen his son do that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like he's
You
just
killed
kind
those
of. Yeah, but he's maybe that was Connery's bad acting choice. Then, like, I don't think he sells it as like he's like, oh, you shouldn't do this way. I guarantee. I agree with you. He does some looks, and even the beginning film, he talks about like, oh, there's certain ways to do things. But in the middle of the film, he gets on board with that. You got that or like the plane chase scene where he's gun toting and stuff like that.
I think especially like around that tank sequence, he's like a lot more for it. It might even just be like they were trying to make it seem like he is just shocked that like, wow, like my son kills people. I get it, they're Nazis, you know, they're maybe a little bit less than people, but it's just like, wow, like I thought you were just a scholar, but here you are just shooting up. Especially like in that moment, like when he grabs the machine gun and just like just fires, like no moment to think at all. He just
3 men dead.
3 men not going home to their families. That's the way Sean Connery saw it.
I had a realization when watching this that I don't think I've ever seen Sean Connery act in my life. I don't think I've ever seen a Sean Connery movie until this. And I also don't know if I've ever heard him speak before. I don't know if I ever even knew what he looked like. And I realized that like my only perspective of really who he is like the guy who plays him on SNL, like in all the Jeopardy skits.
Yes.
You know, who's the guy that does that? I always forget his name.
I can't remember. He's the guy that's still like announced for. Is it Daryl Hammond? I think.
Oh man,
That might be it. I'll find out.
know.
I'll Google it. We'll shut him out.
but yeah, I mean, I feel like that I grew up watching those like best of SNL skits and just like seeing him do that voice. And so when I
It
was
is Daryl
watching this-
Hammond.
Yeah, when I was watching this movie and that's what his voice sounds like, I'm like, man, that's a very good impression. But like, this is a weird realization that Sean Connery is such an iconic name and actor, but I just have never seen a movie with him before. So that was kind of an interesting time. But yeah, I mean, I think their dynamic is fantastic. The chemistry, it's definitely the highlight of the movie in terms of the, you know, better than any of the story stuff going on, better than any of their character dynamics. It's just those two and their chemistry and like a little bit of the beef that they have, but also the love that they have for each other. I think is truly great. So definitely the highlight of the movie for me. And yeah, even just in the trilogy, I just love that those two and their connection might be my favorite character dynamic.
Just a fun fact, I do believe that Sean Connery was in the running for John Hammond in Jurassic Park.
Well, I have that in trivia coming up,
you do?
actually,
Oh,
because
really?
there's a little bit. He was in the running for a lot of
do
stuff.
it.
He was actually the first choice for Gandalf, but he turned it down
Ooh.
because he was retiring. But he was the first choice before Ian got it, and I can see it at times too. Like the voice
Yeah.
obviously would be very distinct, but I could see him pull him off. But yeah, he turned it down to go do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which bombed, and that's when he was like, "Oh, I'm
Such a
done."
good movie.
Yeah.
He
you think,
also,
you think he made the right choice though, turning that down for Lord of the Rings?
I think so.
I think
for
when we got Lord of the
For
Rings,
history,
was
he
perfect.
did. For
Yes,
history-
yeah, but I mean, for his personal size, no, I don't think so. I think he would have
Oh,
much.
he's got
left.
enough. He's got enough dollar sign. He's got enough.
Yeah,
zeros
he's got a
in
lot
the
of
bank account.
bangers.
But like, what a way to
He,
go out! Imagine your last movies are the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like that's a.
But then he has to
great-
come
now-
back for Hobbit.
No, he wouldn't come
Yeah.
back. No, he wouldn't come back. Yeah.
He was King Richard in the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Fantastic.
Shit.
Yeah, he was Bond too, first ever Bond and stuff like that. So it was the blueprint.
Just touching upon their relationship dynamic, I think as soon as they have that meeting in that castle, the atmosphere changes. You don't really see Harrison Ford in this like semi-submissive like state all of a sudden where it's like, yes, sir. Like he just totally like reverts down to like this other like tier
Yeah.
underneath his dad. And it's really, really funny just to see that. And great acting. I think Harrison does a fantastic job at it.
Conway Jr.
Yeah, and then I love that it's just you get some funny dialogue and you think, okay, his dad's being very sincere with him, but he's like, oh, it's a fake, Ming Dynasty, 14th century, whatever he's saying like that, and it's just Indy's like, oh, it's just bullshit again, like he's focused on that. So there's a good degree of humor in their relationship for sure.
Yeah, I like how Henry Jones is just like Indy is very knowledgeable with all this like archaeology and history, but like Henry Jones is just like exuding it almost to a fault where like he can't even focus on a mission because he's like, look at this. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try with my shunk. You guys did better
Nailed
cutters
it.
than
That's
me.
fine.
But he's just like pointing out how it's a fake, and he's just like fascinated with a lot of things that they come across. And I think Sean Connery does such a fantastic job at portraying an individual that's just like his life goal is to find the Grail, and like everything like when they get into those key moments when it's like they could go this route or what's a good example? Oh yeah, the Brody one when they have to go to Berlin or go save Brody. No, like that's so secondary because like if the Nazis have the Grail, like the entire world could potentially just get destroyed. So like he's like the father in, in Tomb Raider, he knows he has to
One life for a
sacrifice
million.
one. Yeah, exactly.
He gives in that speech though, like this is much bigger than just archaeology.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Archaeology.
Whoa.
archaeology.
There you go.
It's like about it is the like he literally says could be the fate of the world, which I'm like, yeah, okay. And as always, I'm like, let's keep this a little more smaller, but that's fine. I get it and stuff. Which I don't know how. What would be the fate of the world? Are they just
Immortal
insinuating that? 'Cause, like,
Hitler.
Yeah, just
Eternal,
like immortal.
But
Third Reich.
immortal Hitler
But-
who's stuck in one room.
But we don't
That's
know that
his
yet.
ultimate bunker.
We don't know
though.
that yet.
True. We don't know that yet. That's true. No, that's true. His ultimate bunker, or like the easiest
up
place to
comm
assassinate
systems.
him. Just everybody's like,
No,
he's
truly, he
here.
probably would have died going in there. So I mean, it probably would have
Yeah.
been better
Oh,
to
yeah.
let him get it. And just
Yeah.
the thousands of Nazis dying by that one.
But that's why they had
saw blade over
Donovan.
and over again.
That's why they had Donovan, right? Wasn't Donovan supposed to get the Grail like for Hitler? Like,
and
that's
bring
the-
it to
Yeah.
Which great, not trying to sound bad, but great Hitler joke as far as like when Harrison Ford or Indy, he's in like enemy territory, the worst of the worst, Nazi camp, thousands of Nazis. These Nazis are pushing him, unbeknownst to him, up to Hitler. He goes face to face with Hitler. Hitler sees the book. He's like, oh, I'm so fucked. Like he's gonna read this, takes it, just signs it, and goes. Which I like because one, it's a fun like, a joke like he just signed and move on. But I feel like it's kind of a fun like dig at Hitler being dumb because it's like Hitler is like looking like we get constant times of, oh, you know, the Fuhrer wants us to do this. They said kill the Jones. Like he's apparently giving these commands, but this book that has all these commands and everything that he might need in it, he didn't even look at it. He just goes and signs it because he's in this situation. So I think and the look on Harrison Ford's face when he starts signing, he doesn't look at the camera, but it's almost like he looks just past it. It's like like he's just like smart, like it's just like that dumb luck that he has, and he gets the book and he's just like proud of himself that he just survived Nazi Germany with like Adolf literally inches in front of him. So very fun sequence.
How do you think he explains it to his peers? You know, oh, what's this little book you got here? Indeed, he's flipping through. Oh, you got a signature from Adolf Hitler? What are you doing here?
Big Adolf fan.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! I swear it was just for an adventure. Sean, I'm so disappointed in you.
I love that moment too. Just like in the belly of the beast. Like this is literally the last place you want to be right now. But like that's where he is, and then it kind of helps. You know, that's the last place that they would expect him to be. Like when he approaches Elsa, just gets the one up on her, and it is kind of funny how they're at like a book burning, and then Adolf signs the book. Like I don't know. I just would have assumed he would have been like, why are you giving me this? Just
I thought he was gonna throw it in the fire for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the line? All I have to do is squeeze. All I have to do is scream. The guy hit you guys?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they had him with a chokehold Elsa. I thought it was a bold choice.
Bare hand
And,
too. No
I don't
glove.
think they would do that today, but they did then. So
Watch it be an Indy 5, just like, ooh.
All I have to do is throat punch you.
but
Just
it's
like
Harrison
one
Ford with the de-aging, so they're like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't count. Yeah.
It's Hera appropriate.
Yeah.
Something else too that I feel like it really hit me in this movie more so than the other ones, but like, man, one of Indy's superpower or maybe not more so. His luck is definitely, I think, like the top tier.
Yes.
He's like,
But like, he is like basically Agent 47 when it comes to just like taking costumes from people. Like he just like brings individuals to like a back room, knocks them out, puts on their costume, and it's just like nobody is questioning it. Like on the blimp, he's wearing like his normal outfit, and it's like an undersized coat. He's got the hat. He's speaking English on like a German blimp, but everyone's just like, yeah, no, that's the ticket guy. And then in Nazi Germany, he's wearing the officer's suit. He's just really got that knockout power to just knock someone out and then right away put on their suit.
Someone's in a trash can in their briefs in these rooms.
That reminds me, Kirkland, of the scene where he comes in. He's like, "Is that castle? You got tapestries? Like, you're a lord. I'm Mickey Mouse." And he knocks him out.
That's what I love about Ford in these roles is like he never fails to make himself seem like a fool in these movies, you know, because some actors might not, and like you don't get that with Solo, right? Solo, he's always cool, calm, collected, but this multiple times in this movie, like you referred to with the dad, with this, there's times where he just comes off as like such a loser, but like obviously it works out for him because he has that indie luck. But it's just it's charming, and I'm happy he does it. So
one nitpick I have on his decision making is when Indy and his dad break out from when they're being captured. They go down to like the dock, and it's pretty smart. He like turns the boat on to send it down the river, and then they go hide in like a in a barrel or something like that. Or I guess they go get in a car. But then like
in the bike that has like the two
the bike, and then all the Nazis get in the boat. But then they like start driving away instantly. Like, shouldn't they wait for those Nazis to be on the water, like far away? I mean, ultimately it wouldn't have mattered because as soon as they take the bike out, there's like another 10 like right outside the archway anyway. But I thought like, wow, he was so smart and cunning in this moment. Like that is some quick thinking. But then he just like did that. I'm like, man, you couldn't have waited 5 seconds. It would have helped you quite a bit here.
Do you think it's like because he has like no like little peephole in there or something? He's like, do you think they're gone? Oh yeah, they're long down the river now. We can go. Kicks down the door. Oh shit.
It is the reverse, so that if you don't leave right away, if they don't buy that plan, they just see you, they shoot you down, right? So that's the way I headcanon. It's like it gives you a little diversion and you go. You should wait, but like I said, if they just turn around, it's over. They got a bunch of machine guns and stuff. But I think it kind of fits with Indy because even then, like when he's back in the finale and he steps on the J and he's like, oh right, it's an I. It almost works again where it's like he can. he can never 100% get the plan done. Like it's like he was lucky that he didn't die. Like he should have died by going on the J, and then 30 seconds later he realized, oh right, it's the I. So it's like this where he has this great plan with the boat, but it's almost like half baked because yeah, he should have just waited a little longer and stuff like that. But didn't happen.
Another section that I really like is, I guess it's later on in that particular sequence too. I'm trying to remember, but there's like that plane that's coming down to get them, and then Sean Connery like scares a bunch of seagulls and then they fly up into the sky, and like it made me cringe. It just like the sounds that happen there and picturing what's going on. They like smash through the window and just very visceral scene.
He's got his umbrella.
Yeah,
And
they bred 300 pigeons. No, I'm joking.
I love it too when it like goes like again, yeah, it is a chaos, like going from the pilot's perspective of just like the birds going in there. But like I always have subtitles on when I'm watching these things now, and like I never realized that the pilot's just screaming for his life in that moment, because like yeah, goes to him and he's just like "Ah!" like fuck, what a way to go. Oh, my
Oh
gosh.
yeah. And then the other guy's beside him, like, "Your soul ready? My soul's ready." He's just sitting there with
Yeah.
all the birds being ready to take it and stuff like
I feel
that.
like modern planes must be like kind of bird proof, right?
I mean, in
I
Top
would
Gun
hope-
Maverick, they get a bird in the engine.
yeah,
and they
I
almost
I hear that
two people
all the
die.
time. Yeah,
I don't think all of them are bird proof. I mean, the smaller it is, the more susceptible it's going to be. I think the bigger it is, I think it's more durable to something
We
like
should
I
be
also think
past
that
that
like
point,
most
though.
Oh, I thought you meant
planes
the
are
bigger
like
the
high enough
bird.
up. I think that's the thing though, is that like most planes are high enough up that like birds aren't at that
It's true.
altitude.
Once you get past the landing, yeah. Maybe there's
Yeah.
something about airports where they have like anti-bird tech going
Yeah.
on there. Some weird noise.
They don't allow people with umbrellas doing what Henry was doing.
Dr. Jones is back. Yeah, I always question that. Of like, because there is still all in the news all the time, like all this plane had to land because it ran into a bird. It's like how we've figured out so many things in this world, but still a little bird can take down a plane. Like I'm not sure a little bird, but still it just always fascinates me that we haven't cracked that one yet. We can go to Mars and the moon, but a fucking goose goes into a plane, we're going down. So
yeah.
I mean, a
larger
goose is a
engines.
pretty hardy sized bird,
That
I
is
feel like,
hardy.
but the fucking fan should be a pretty hardy metal. Like we should be making this out of gold now or
Modern
something. Like,
jet engines are tested for bird strikes and rated for a certain upper limit size of bird depending on engine size. No engine can handle an ostrich, so one of those fuckers is
Oh,
flying.
fuck.
The plane's
We-
done.
not a shock.
we
Ground
need to
bird,
get,
Taylor.
yeah, we need planes to figure out to take down ostriches already for people's safety.
I'm just trying to
But
think
I-
about like how do you test this? Like, are they just like
Dummies?
throwing ostriches into?
Oh yeah,
like,
100%.
engines,
Don't tell Peter.
throwing penguins in there, throwing
Yeah.
pigeons. What can this thing withstand?
The Nate or whatever the fighter pilots are just like breeding ostriches to test them out,
They're
like
breeding
lambs to
those.
slaughter. Yeah, but I will say we talked about this in the second one. This was obviously different because the data was added, but this was that sequence that they had to cut for the second one for the budget. Remember, they cut like 10 pages because they were over budget, and it was this plain one, so they used it for here. And I really like it. It's fun. I love the whole back and forth with the dad. The 11 o'clock. The best joke, maybe in the movie for me, next to the Marcus one, is when Sean Connery's on the gun, he's trying to shoot, he takes it, like tailwind, and he's like, "Dad, what happened? Did they hit us? We going down?" He's like, "Son, it looks like we've been tattered." And like he never actually ever admits it either. He goes to the lie that like they got hit, and I just love how calmly he gives it to him. And Indy's like, "Oh fuck, I guess we got hit." So I really enjoy that
Yeah.
joke. It's a good one.
It's so like what else would he do in that moment? Fucking idiot. Oh, I can't believe I
Yeah.
did that. But he's like processing what just happened. It's like, yeah, no, I did that, and now we're in
It's
this
like
situation.
It's like he didn't know until Indy said anything that shooting that would affect the plane at all. Like he had no knowledge whatsoever. And again, it shows the difference of them, right? That Henry may be very, very
Yeah.
book smart, but he doesn't even know what on your 11 is, right? Like he's like, "Why do you need to know the time, son?" And he's like, "Not the time." Like that shows like he's not had the same sort of bucketeering as Indy. So yeah. And the only other note I have to show that's not trivia is I love that again when he's at the school we get all the girls fawning over him, stuff like that. And there's this scene where it's right before he's gonna kind of get on the adventure. He goes into one of his classroom offices and there's just like dozens of students and stuff like that. And it's just Ford's delivery, but it's how I imagine he's in real life. He's just like shush, shush. And he just gets like, shush! Like, he seems like he's legitimately angry. And it's just his delivery that when he does it, I just laugh every time. He just seems like such a grumpy old man in this moment. I'm like, oh, this is what Harrison Ford was like as a dad right here. So that's my last thing to shout out.
I always love that scene too because it's like, yeah, the reality of being a student of Dr. Jones. Like, he's never fucking there. He's never grading your papers. He's never available outside of school hours because he's fighting the Nazis, which, you know, he's fighting the good fight. But still, like, yes, he brings in some good finds sometimes, but it's like, how's this guy still employed? Like, he must be
That's
tenured.
why those good finds.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah.
Those good finds. He's a legend.
I got a couple of things to shout out. I actually really like the casting for General Vogel is his name. He's like that one blonde Nazi guy who's like the main henchman. He's the one that's looking for them on the blimp, and then finds him. And I was mentioning like the costume, but like that's another just hilarious scene for me in this movie when he just punches him out and he's like, no ticket, and everyone's just like, oh shit, okay, here's my ticket, please don't throw me out of the plane. I do like how just comedically fast they launch. Like, as soon as the guy gets flipped over, he lands in all the luggage that's not packed yet, but then the blimp just like fucks off, and then he does like, damn you, Dr. Jones.
Oh,
like,
I know. It's that's such a
terrible
awkward
green screen
shot.
too.
Yeah, it's a weird, just like, no.
But I don't know. I just really like that character for the role that he is. Like, when Elsa when they get the diary, or no, they're leaving the castle, and then Elsa like gives a big smooch to Indy. It's like that's how we say goodbye in Austria, and then it goes to like the German guy, like, this is how we say goodbye in Germany. Just like fucking smacks him in the face. I don't know. He's like a little piece of shit character, but I think he does his role enough. He's not doing too much, but he's doing enough there.
See, and that's when we get one of those Connery like sexual jokes again, because Indy's like, oh, I prefer the Austrian one, and Connery's like, I do as well. Like he any chance he gets to just comment of like, yeah, I've been with this woman, he takes it in that moment. So, but yeah, that's a fun little scene there.
Yeah, and then the Gestapo like taking Brody in like the desert sequence. That's just really fun moment too. When Salah, I think that's his name, John Rhys Davies' character.
I think so.
He like just randomly finds Brody. Thank God, because this guy can't even speak any languages here. Or what does he say? He's like, does anybody speak English or ancient Latin, or like those the two languages that he can go with? Salah finds him, trying to get him out of there, and then he's like cluing in that these people like are trying to take him because they're trying to take him to a museum that's not actually existing. And then I just love that moment when he's like, oh yeah, no, let me just like find this in the newspaper. He's like, run. And like, just Marcus is so like just zero street smarts to realize what's actually happening. And then like when he smacks him in the face, Marcus still just isn't running. He's just like standing there watching him.
Yeah, he's like, beg your pardon. Like, he asked him what he said again.
Yeah. So kind of already touched upon that scene, but just like, pardon me, extending that, just really, really funny. And then the way that he just like inches back onto that platform, and then they just like raise the door, drives away.
I feel like that was a reverse like Raiders of the Lost Ark when they hid the vehicle in the village.
I like when they do that though. It's like it's more than what you think, and then they just like reveal, oh no, it's a Nazi truck, and
swastika on the back of the truck. Like, oh no.
Yeah, I like that scene. The last one I'll shout out, which I never caught it until now, and it's such a minor thing, but I found it funny enough to write on my notes, is when Indy's meeting with Donovan for the first time, and he's showing him like the tablet, and they're just thinking that they're friends at this point. They're vibing. Mrs. Donovan, Mr. Donovan's like wife comes in. It's like, you have guests that you're ignoring, and like this is just such a weird like acting decision where like. I think Donovan is saying like, oh yeah, no, I'll be about there in a moment, and he like gives the wife a kiss, and the wife like like smiles and nods at Donovan, but then she turns at Indy and does it again. Like she's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's nice to see you, Indy." And then it pans over to Indy, and Indy's been looking at the tablet the entire time. Like she just like turned and looked at Indy's back and just like, "Yes, agreed." And then like goes back to the party. It's such a minor thing, but I caught it on this viewing, and it just it made me laugh because it's just like that made no sense whatsoever. But they didn't want to retake that.
I feel like you're good at spotting those like overacting scenarios. You sent me a video of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and the ladies in the church as she's overacting. Fucking crazy.
Oh, that lady. Yeah. She's awful. Yeah. Yikes.
Love a good
That's all my notes. That's all I got.
You guys got anything to shout out before trivia here?
I think I'm depleted.
Dilapidated boat. You're like the soul guy. I'm depleted. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I need a sip of that chalice right now. Take me to
Yeah.
trivia.
As with all the other Indiana Jones movies, Harrison Ford did many of his own stunts. According to stuntman Vic Armstrong, he had to pull Harrison Ford to the side and ask him to stop doing the stunts so he could get some work done. So yeah, I get like the stunt guy was just worried for his job because like he was doing nothing. Harrison Ford had cut his chin in a car accident when he was about 20 years old. In the movie, this cut explained that young Indy got it from on his chin with using the whip. So they that was a fun way to kind of
cool.
Yeah, I like that. Add some realism to it and stuff like that.
What if like every Harrison Ford movie had a reason why he has a cut on his chin?
Lightsaber. You should see the other guy.
What if they did that in Solo? Like they explained why.
Yeah. I
No
hope they
family,
did it
huh?
Yeah. They should have done on Blade Runner, everything. Armstrong later said if he wasn't such a great actor, he would have made a really great stuntman, which I can believe. This is a guy that's 3 movies now, does big stunts and stuff. So, and he's survived a lot of things. That's what I was going to shout out too about the plane scene. I forgot this is not in trivia, but just in my notes. I loved when they take the plane, him and Connor are going off and everything like that. Connery's like, "You know how to fly, son," and he's like, "Yeah, but not how to land." And it's just so funny because Harrison Ford has had multiple plane crashes in his life, like in real life, that he's just like ended up in like a schoolyard because he didn't know how to bring the plane down. He should probably have his license taken away, but because he's Harrison Ford, it hasn't happened. But yeah, look into it. He's been in like 3 plane accidents all by himself, and it's just himself, but still. So it's kind of funny that line's in here, and then decades later, he's very much like Indiana Jones, true to life there. So. Let's see here. Harrison Ford nominated River Phoenix to play him as a teenager, having worked with him before on his favorite of many movies, The Mosquito Coast, which I've actually not seen. When describing how he was preparing to play the role, Phoenix has explained that he apparently didn't really base his material off of Indiana Jones' character, but just Harrison Ford. So he observed Ford out of character before acting the part for many weeks. So there you go. He's just,
The way you read that made it sound like the trivia said that, which is a movie I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah, sorry, no. That Travis note right there. Steven Spielberg said this was his favorite out of the Indiana Jones franchise. He said he did this movie for 2 reasons. 1, he had to fulfill his 3-movie contract, so that's fair enough. And then 2, he had to atone for the criticism that he received for the previous installment, Temple of Doom, which again, like we said, was met with a lot of "this is too dark, this isn't Indiana Jones" sort of thing. Still very positive review, but it was reviewed as like a big step down, where this one is, I know lots of people have this one as its favorite, so I think in lots of people's eyes it was viewed as a good one. But it's funny, he said he had to atone for Temple of Doom. Why is he not doing Indy 5? Why is he not atoning for Crystal Skull? But we'll get to that next week. This is so funny, Taylor. You're talking about, I can't remember, you mentioned something about ghosts and stuff like that. So here's a fucking awful idea, in my opinion. When George Lucas met with Steven Spielberg to discuss a 3rd movie, he wanted to have it set entirely in a haunted mansion. Spielberg had just finished Poltergeist and decided he wanted to do something different. Lucas then came up with the idea of the Holy Grail, and Spielberg added the idea of the father and son sub-story. To me, like, you're gonna take an Indiana Jones movie and just put him in a house the whole time, and Temple Doom to me is like the closest where you get the hotel and it transitions into the mine, but it's like at least like 2 different areas. Maybe that's what they do, right? Maybe be a house and then there'd be like a underground basement. That like just feels very similar to Temple Doom, and that to me I have no interest in just like the Holy Grails in the Haunted Mansion and like Indy has to go and get it. So I'm very glad Steven Spielberg was like, no, we're not gonna do
Yeah.
a haunted mansion. Like
This idea
that
sucks,
didn't-
George.
Yeah,
Hope he told
he gave a good friend reason though. Like, oh, I just did a haunted mansion movie. I don't want to do another one. But like he, especially after Temple, because remember George didn't really like that story, but he still did it because he trusted George. But now he was like, But then again, in Indiana Jones 4, we'll get to it. He didn't like the aliens idea, but he was like, we'll do it anyways, and that didn't turn out. But there you go, Taylor. You almost got a bunch of ghosts in Indy 3. Maybe you'll get that in this
I got
one.
him in
Maybe
81. I'm happy.
there you go. Let's see. The movie has the most chase scenes in any Indiana Jones movie in the franchise with 6 different types: on foot, boat, motorcycle, train, plane, and car. This is the only movie that the franchise feature a boat and train chase scene. So there you go. Unable to keep his hat on during the scene when they're being chased on the tank, they had to glue. So they had newspapers, newspapers on his head. They put glue on the newspaper and the hat, and they smudged it down. So he had like this glue sort of newspaper substance that was like molded to his head, so it would do that. And then they had to staple it as well. So not to his head, of course, but just like.
Oh, hold on, Harrison.
Oh fuck! He's like, Vic, you want to get in here for the stunt? No, you want to do the stunts and stuff like that. Harrison Ford and Sean Connery have passed up 3 other opportunities to work together. Connery accepted the role in Hunt for Red October, while Ford declined it for the role of Jack Ryan. Blah blah blah. Ford and Connery declined the roles of Alan Grant and John Hammond. So there you go, Taylor. They were supposed to be. Ford turned down Alan Grant, so you could have got that. So
I'm super, super happy with that. I'm very happy with Sam Neill.
Ford's got enough. He's got Indian solo and stuff. And then the third time was they did ask him back for the 4th one, Connery, but Connery declined, saying he was in retirement and was happy to not come back, which I kind of get that, right? Because we'll get to the 4th next week, but they introduced Indy's son. I feel like you could have had a fun dynamic there of the grandfather, the dad, and the son together and stuff. But I don't know what adventure it would have been like, but I could have seen like a fun scene or two. But he said, I'm not coming back. So yeah, that's all I got. Dilmas, final thoughts?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. Yeah, nothing else to add.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add either. Than probably my overall is the best. Still like the non-spoilers, just the opening portion. Still really enjoy this. Still like it a lot. Still a fun movie. I love watching these through together. It still has a great sense of adventure. I've gone back and forth there, but I think I'm going to go with a 9.5 because, like I said, I'm not really a big fan of much of the Elsa stuff. I kind of check out, where the other 2 indie movies I don't really check out at any point. And it's something that I don't think is done the greatest. It's something where it's like, oh, there might be a portion that maybe I don't like love the entire movie, but it doesn't offend me. Not that it offends me, but we talk about kind of Elsa flipping back and forth. For me, the chemistry's like there, but not exactly to the point where I feel like Ford or Indy would be jumping off a cliff to try and save her. Like, to me, that's more reserved for Marion and stuff. So that character doesn't play the greatest. I don't think the actress does a bad job. I think it's just kind of they should have picked Elaine, and I think they thought that idea was more interesting to flip back and forth. But yeah, the father and son stuff's great. Some great action sequences with the tank, the flashback, the plane. I love the 3rd act. So yeah, a 9.5 for me. So Mr. Field?
Yeah, there is a lot of really, really fun things that they introduced in here. Some great callbacks. I love when we get to kind of have expanded world building on a franchise like this, and you again have those reoccurring characters that come back, which is just really, really great. So there's a lot of things that this film does great for me. As I said though at the beginning, if I'm picking one out of these 3,
Well,
I feel like I'll save that. I'll save that.
Don't do it.
But I know I'm going at least with like
Tweets.
the first 2 over Last Crusade.
There you go.
But
Leave it ambiguous.
yeah, make it ambiguous. So ultimately, though, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10 because I still really, really enjoy it. But yeah, like it's just there are certain moments throughout it that I would dock at the 1 point. I can't specifically say what moments those are, but there's moments where I feel like I'm kind of like falling off a little bit in comparison to those first 2 films where I'm always fully engaged in it the entire time. So there you go.
Hell yeah.
Kirk and Patzer.
Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. I was definitely picking apart some things. I think more so just because they maybe bugged me or made me notice it more so on this particular viewing, but it takes nothing away for just my overall enjoyment for just these Indiana Jones movies. This trilogy is just so, like I've already said, near and dear to my heart and just nostalgic for me. And it's the one trilogy where I'll like, instead of watching in order, like I could just watch like Temple of Doom, you know, if I want to watch it, or just throw on Last Crusade, just because I like the way that they have them set up and like pretty unclear on like the order of it. Like it's just an adventure about Indiana Jones, and I really like that. I feel like with most trilogies, for obvious reasons, you have to watch it in chronological order. But yeah, I just really love these movies. It's gonna be interesting rankings wise, because I mean, like I already said earlier, like I've gone through phases of just liking each of these movies the most. But I feel like I have a pretty clear ranking right now, which is just kidding. I'm not going to release that right now. Did a fast one on you, but no, I love this movie. I love the dynamic between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford, and yeah, no, just great old adventure.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll be back next week with one that legitimately people have asked, like, oh, I can't wait to hear. Like when we did this retro, multiple people in the Discord were like, oh, I can't wait till you guys get to Indy 4 and stuff like that. And I'm not even saying I'm like ready to tear it apart, because it's been a while. I think it was like 3 years ago, but I'm like Kirkland, where I saw it in theaters once, then never watched again. Me and Emily watched them all, like I said, probably about 3 or 4 years. But even then, I wasn't watching with a critical eye, so it'll be interesting to watch. And then, obviously, a couple weeks we got the movie. But yeah, that's, I think, our most anticipated one, because people always want to know what we think about these controversial movies. So yes, next week will be Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Lots to talk about there, and it will not be boring.
See ya.
Bye.